Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Live Market Analysis ASX edition. My name is Carl Capolingua. I'm the market analyst over here at Think Markets Australia, and it's a pleasure to be with you as we delve into the depths of your Aussie portfolios. We're going to find the good ones. We're going to keep those. We're going to kick out the ones that aren't so good. We're going to find the best trades on the ASX available today. Pretty simple agenda today. It's your questions versus my technical and fundamental analysis. There should be a chat window somewhere there if you're joining me on Zoom, as most people do. If you're joining me on any of the streaming platforms, for example, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and one other one I can't remember, YouTube, of course. You should have a chat window there somewhere also. You can type in your requests. Let us head over to the charts first and foremost. If you're not familiar with these sessions, you're joining for the first time. Generally, I like to start with the charts. I'm a technical analyst. First and foremost, I don't proclaim to know the ins and outs of every company we're going to talk about, nor do I care, to be honest. All that matters to me is what they're doing in the candles, in the trends, in the price action. I thought today, seeing as we haven't done one for a couple of weeks, we'll have a quick look at the ASX200, maybe a little bit top down, and then I do want to do a lithium sector review. So I'm going to go over probably about 20 stocks in the lithium sector to head off a bunch of questions I've had via social media earlier in the week. Very quickly, ASX200 doesn't look great, does it? Certainly, when you drill down, you see the big black candles over the last few trading sessions. Today is a welcome bounce, but that last candle is today's candle. It's not closed yet, so we don't know where that's going to be by the end of the day. We need to let it close. Otherwise, yes, we had this sharp run up through here, but you can see it appears that the bears, not the bulls, the bears are winning the battle here. It is quite disturbing. That's if you get stuck in that really short-term sort of way of looking at the market. If we zoom out a little bit more, you can see largely it's not going anywhere at all, is it? Enable the chat window, Nick. I will do that for you now. Let me do one little bit of housekeeping first, everybody. As I said, it's still largely sideways if we look out over a few months. And then if we look out over a few years, if we go to a weekly chart, I know it gets a bit sketchy there with all the markings, but it's still pretty sideways, isn't it? So let's not get too excited one way or the other. That's the zoom in there back to the daily chart. I can't see anything wonderful happening on the short-term trends. Nothing to tell us, certainly, that we're about to see that big run-up in July that we often see. And if you're not sure what I'm talking about there, let me show you this one here, which will go blank for a second. Trust me, it will go blank and then reappear in just a second. And then go back to here. I know I'm jumping around, but I wanted to show you this chart here, which I've put up to Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, you should follow me on Twitter. This is the seasonal trends for the ASX, and I've used the All Ordinaries here. And it's a broader index than the ASX200. It's about 500 of Australia's largest companies in it. And I've also used the accumulation index. So we're adding back dividends. Very important when you look at any sort of performance measure. Historically, you add back those dividends because, especially for Australia, dividends are a huge part of your total shareholder return. When we do that, we can see that going back to encompass all the data I have. My data starts at 1982. That's just where it does start, okay? We've got the seasonal trends here where we have a very good run, really from October through to April, with April just being that fantastic month for the markets. And then May, June tends to be underperformance, not always down. Certainly if we look at, say, over 20 years, clearly May, June are underperformers. In fact, over the last 10 years, also underperformers. But if we go a little bit further out, certainly not down, but underperforming. And then July, August, and all of those timeframes are very, very good before we get some underperformance through September quite consistently. So if that is the roadmap for the year, I don't think there's anything so awful in that ASX chart to suggest that we can't get a decent July and August period. I'm saying it's not as bad as it looks. Okay. With that in mind, let that sort of shape today's discussion. But first, I did want to do the quick lithium sector review here, and it will be very quick, mainly technicals. If I see something I like, I might look at the fundamentals as well. But I have had about a dozen requests for these during the week. I'm going to kick off with Allkem Minerals, which is a little bit of yesterday's hero, and I'm going to say nothing more than I can't see any strong reasons in the technicals to be buying this right now. And I know that it was extremely popular, and you may have looked into it and been sold on the wonderful fundamentals, and they may well still come to bear, but with the short-term trend clearly down, that's the light pink zone, and the long-term trend actually moving more and more towards officially turning to the downside, we certainly have some problems. And then when you look at this long-term trend zone and just how perfectly it has defined where the value has been in the long term, the problem for it now is on the way up, that long-term trend zone, that dark green zone, tends to support price, and on the way down, it tends to resist prices, and that's where we are right now. So if I was to give you a buy, hold, and sell, and it's just my opinion, it's always general advice in these sessions, I can't see a reason to hold it. I certainly can't see a reason to buy it, and therefore you do the maths on what options are remaining. Compare and contrast with something like Allkem, which it's very important we do zoom back to normal to get a better picture of what the market thinks about this. You might say, Carl, Goes is a really good company. Let me just look, let's just sit down for 5 minutes, grab a cup of coffee, and let me tell you about Argosy. And I say, look, thanks, but no thanks. I really don't care. There's no interest in the market, and therefore there's no interest from me. There's interest in the market here on Allkem. Certainly you can see the short-term trend very, very strong to the upside. Long-term trend actually well defined. We are starting to lose some momentum in the price action. And the price action, if you're unfamiliar with the term, is basically joining together the peaks and troughs within the candlesticks, okay? And what I've shown you there is what I would call, well, this is actually very good price action, isn't it, for the people that know? And that compares to something that is not as good, which might actually get you to the same final destination, but with a whole heap more pain, okay? So if we say we've got price action scenario 1, and this is price action scenario 2, it's the scenario 2 that you want to see. And certainly for Allkem, it's quite clean, isn't it? It's quite clean through here. And I'll get a little bit of a, it's hard to say where that one is, but I'm going to go there and there. And I've drawn some through there, so let's escape that and then pick up afterwards and just get a feeling of how to draw these and what it looks like. And then we can see some compression. I reckon we're going to get some compression and by compression, I mean overlapping through this last bit. And the reason why that compression is occurring is because of the influence of this massive point of supply over here. All right, so we've got this major point of supply. How do you know it was a major point of supply? Well, the price plummeted afterwards. So that's a pretty good indication that it was a major point of supply. Not only did the price plummet, but it plummeted with this big species ending event, which I'm sure we looked at this back then. I don't have the annotations, but go back and check the tapes. I'm sure we saw that species ending event and called it as thus. And it was a very good call to be taking profits on that black candle. And if we were to see it again, we'd do the same. But this major point of supply, we're interacting with it. Yes, there's lots of demand in the system. How do I know there's lots of demand in the system? Look at the light green zone. Look at the dark green zone. That's all good. Look at the great price action we had until we started to interact with this zone. So we've got to deal with this supply. And when we hit it for the first time, the supply literally might be that big as I've labeled it there, but then we start to just sort of get through it a bit, okay? And then the next day we're getting through it a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and a little bit more, until hopefully it's all gone. And that's when potentially we can push through to the next leg and the next leg from there. Okay, I could go a hold on Allkem. It's got a lot going for it. I can't go a buy, and there's some very good reasons why I can't go a buy. I'm not a big fan of this candle here, so I don't like what that candle is telling me about the supply in the market. It's quite persistent up around this zone. It may well win the battle. We may not get through that supply. We may not trade with that supply. There might not be enough money. Think about what we need to do to get rid of that supply. We need to have cash buying those shares. Supply is just shares. The only way you get rid of that supply is for the cash to come in and buy those shares. There may not be enough cash down here. Down where? Down here. There may not be enough cash down here to overwhelm that supply and take us through. In fact, what we might see is this scenario here, where we find the price actually comes down from the current candle, which doesn't look great, and in fact shows us that the points of supply here and here are building, or they're getting lower, so that we're indicating increasing supply in the market, more more incentive, more impetus from the supply side to put their shares in the market, and therefore potentially less demand to soak that up. And if we were to get beneath here, that's when I'd be looking to take some off the table. So I'd go minus 130, you know the drill. But until then, I can go a hold on that. It's not a buy for me for all of those reasons. Let us keep moving. Got to do core lithium. I won't have to spend anywhere near as long on core lithium because it's the same picture we've seen for many weeks on this, and I don't have to say anything more to you then. I have no interest in this one, okay? There is no interest from the market. Short-term trends down, long-term trends down. Price action doesn't look great. I could get interested in this if it started to trade north of 120, but that's so far away. Why would we waste any more time on looking at core? And if you're holding core right now, I think you're starting to realize that it is feeling like a bit of a waste of time. Delta Lithium, this is certainly one I could hold, absolutely hold. In fact, if it closes with a candle as good as what we're seeing right now, and it is a live candle, let me reiterate, we don't know where this candle is going to close, but if it does close around here or better, I could actually go to a buy. I think we've had some action on this, when I said on this candle here, which I totally agree with my analysis, if that's what I told you. I don't like the look of that candle. I'm not sure if that's enough to go minus 1/3 by itself though, but certainly here with that confirmation, I certainly think this minus 1/3 is what's the right word? Is executable. I wonder what I said on that day there, because I reckon I would have said, not sure if that's enough of a black candle. Certainly that one is, and maybe this one here might be another minus 1/3. And then you hear me saying, I'd consider a plus 1/3. It sounds a bit contradictory, doesn't it? That all depends on your point of view. But what I like to do is sequentially, progressively get out if the market is telling me to do so, and then get straight back in if the market is telling me to do so. I don't keep score by what happens on this column here. Okay, I don't care what price I get out at. I don't care what price I get in at. All I care about is if I'm following my trends, if I'm following the right analysis. Let me say, if this closes at or above where it is right now, I'd happily buy this one. And what does that mean, happily buy? Does that mean I'm going out and taking out a second mortgage on the home? No, that's not the way we do things here. So it's 97 or better, I'd say. Let's go 97 or better. So I do want to see that high close. Then I could go plus 1/3 and really add back some risk to this. As you can see here, if you had it before, we were suggesting that you would certainly keep some skin in the game. So we're really adding some more skin to the game on Delta Lithium. I wonder, now that we're sort of interested in this one, let me head over to, actually, let me do this one first because I've got it queued up. We know how long it takes, for the Refinitiv Icon spreadsheet to work. Next one I'm going to look at is Gallon Lithium. And I think it looks quite interesting, actually. Let me get, look at this, plus 1/3 in the past. Maybe. I just want to delete this because I want to see the price action. So we're going to do that, and I want to draw this through. Would I be interested in buying some of this? I like the candles. I like the white candles through here, predominantly white again. I like the price action. I think the short-term trend is good, and I think the long-term trend, we're getting above it as a potential resistance zone. So that's interesting. Clearly, we've got a point of supply in here that we need to deal with. And that is just weighing on the market conditions right now. This is a very solid hold for me. I don't think I'm going to get to a buy. I just think we need to see that that point of supply dealt with, and how today's candle bears out, isn't it? Because we're seeing a little bit of supply come in. That's what that shadow represents. Don't forget that at one stage today, the last candle we're seeing, it looked like this. And it actually looked more like this. It'll change in a second. So it actually looked like that. So I don't know if I can put that over the top of that one. Won't do what I want to do. But if you get the sort of idea here, the candle here looked like this one, okay? And what's happening at the moment is we're seeing some supply come in at that point of supply to push the closing price down to there and therefore create that upper shadow. I know it won't let me draw it, but you get the picture. Okay, so we are seeing some supply there. I'm going to go a solid hold on Gallon. Let us not, therefore, go to here, which kind of ruins it, doesn't it? So I just happened to have that one queued up for whatever reason. You can look at it. We don't have any earnings in the near future for Gallon, but it might interest you to see that there are 4 brokers actually covering this one. 1 strong buy, 3 buys, and we won't get the earnings anytime in the near future for Gallon for whatever reason. But it was the the other one which I wanted to do, which is Delta. I just curious to see if we've got any broker coverage on it. So while that's loading up, we're in the Refinitiv Icon spreadsheet, which takes data from that Refinitiv Icon product, which comes from Thomson Reuters, one of the world's biggest data providers, and they survey various brokers. We've only got one broker covering this one, but according to this broker, and this is not my information, don't shoot the messenger here, they think that Delta could actually be making money next year. How about that? Until we get let's say that we're going to have 100% growth in earnings from there, it probably doesn't give us a very sensible valuation there, 246. So I'm not going to read too much into that because it's got 100% growth on a very small sample of data. But for what it's worth, the broker that is surveyed here has a price target of 125. Now I do want to load up this one here because we're going to talk about this one now. Let's head over to we'll actually quickly do IGO because I know it's a widely held. Happy holder there. Won't go into any more detail than that, but I can't see anything in the short-term trends or the candles to suggest that we need to manage our exits. Look, I'd start to be concerned maybe below here and certainly below there. I'd be looking at lightening the load, but not until then. I promised LEO Lithium, which never comes up straight away, of course. I have to find it. And where are we here? Come on, Leo. There we go. Has had a great run. You can see we've done lots of stuff on it in the past. Thank you, Nick. Okay, so we've had a little minus 1/3, but therefore 2/3 of your trade potentially remaining. I'll leave it up to you whether you thought it was a buy since then. I would have looked very closely at this candle here as a potential buy. I'm a hold. I don't think either of these two candles here are enough to get out of it. I know many people listening to hold on to this one. So let's go hold. I don't think it's a sell because we're not seeing candles which show enough supply. So look at the supply buddies in the middle here. And these are the ones you want to watch out for on something that's had a really good run. So it's the one with the upper shadow and the black body or the full black body. We're just not seeing those. Certainly we are seeing some supply come in. Okay, but is it enough supply to exit our position at this stage? No, I don't think it is. I don't think I'm buying either because I can see that supply come in. I'm certainly not selling, and I think hold for me is the best course of action here. And I did want to show you this one here because it is actually quite interesting. Old LEO Lithium. Again, not my numbers. We do have 5 brokers covering, and they are suggesting that LEO Lithium will be making money from next FY24 as their project comes online. And we have a few quirky numbers here because obviously we haven't had any history on those. But the brokers, all 5 of them, suggest that the price target is 179 on LEO Lithium, which allows for significant upside from the current price. We've got 2 strong buys and 4 buys. And for what it's worth, my model, which is taking into account this massive growth rate in EPS over here, so that's coming through there, suggests that it's fairly valued at the current price if we use a PE of 5.5, which I think is probably a little on the cheap side, and we could bump this up to, does it deserve to be bumped up? Look, I don't think it's expensive, but I'm happy to defer to the brokers. I was going to say, look, 5.5 PE is extremely low for a company that's growing its earnings at 142. But I'm not sure if it warrants a 40 PE or 80 PE simply because of all the risks, the execution risk that's involved. So even if I bump this up to 10, you know, I don't think there's anything sinister in this valuation to tell me that I shouldn't trade based upon the chart. And that's really all I'm looking for in my fundamental valuations is a red flag for me not to follow the chart. Okay, and I can't see one there. Let us quickly move through this list. Not too many to go. LRS, one again we've covered many times. I think we said minus 1/3 if it closed beneath a certain level. It didn't. So you're probably still holding the full position here if you've been following along. That is another buy there. So for me, this is a clear plus 1/3. Okay, and there's nothing to do today. There's absolutely no indication there for me that I need to be taking any profits. Certainly this candle here was a bit dodgy. This candle was a bit dodgy, but I think overall fairly modest in the whole context of things. So happy holder there. I don't think we need to take any risk off the table there. Happy holder on Latin Resources. And just for those that were wondering, because I know many people listening do have this one, it actually does have some broker coverage. We've got 4 brokers. We are expecting a profit in FY26, so we won't get a valuation. But for what it's worth, the brokers are predicting a 44-cent price target, and we have 1 strong buy and 1 buy. Okay. And let us head back here, and we're into the L's, obviously. Liontown is under takeover, but very quickly for you. Oh, you can see my last update here, minus 1/3. I think that's been proven to be a fairly sensible thing to do. I think you can hold, but I think you are, again, taking some off the table if we close beneath there. No point doing the fundamentals on that. Mineral Resources, I've been very consistent on this, haven't I? Last time we talked about it, 0% buy, 25% hold, and 75% sell. If anything, this has moved more towards the sell side than anything else. And honestly, I cannot see a reason to own this company right now. It just looks worse and worse and worse. And I know I normally don't do this on companies which we're not interested in buying, but it's such a widely held, and it's just loved by so many talking heads out there. I'm actually just curious for my own benefit to see what we get on the Refinitiv Icon spreadsheet. Look, while that's loading up, we can say we've got 16 estimates on this one. We do have a price target well above. You can see the brokers out there are very bullish. 79.35% target, 18% upside. In terms of the ratings, though, it's far more diverse. 1 strong buy, 7 buys. Certainly there are some buys out there, but you can see that it's the polarizing nature of the company. 4 holds and actually 4 sells, and that worries me. The fact that 4 brokers out there, probably the 4 honest ones, are calling this one a sell based upon what the chart is doing. And then I head to the EPS line. I'm looking for bottom left, top right, and it was looking that way until we got to FY22. We see a big pop down, but then somehow a massive ramp up from here. And I don't know enough about the company to dispute that. That's not what this is about. It's just about telling you what the brokers are thinking, and that's very much in line with my style of analysis. I trade charts, I trade trends in line with what the market is thinking, and then I like to do my fundamentals in line with what the brokers are thinking. With the default parameters here, which coincidentally isn't that interesting. The future-based median PE is 10, and that was my low growth option. It's I think my valuation, my spreadsheet's valuation, is a little bit more honest than the brokers, saying that we're probably worth about 62.85, and that is much closer to what the chart is doing. So I'm not sure what these brokers are thinking about that or why they're thinking that way. Let us round out this lithium sector review for you with a look at PLS. Obviously, have to do Pilbara Minerals. It's one we have looked to buy not that long ago, taken some profit through here, maybe added back some risk. It's been a very gradual trend. You can see the compression in the price action. I've drawn lots of pink zones in the past because of these huge points of supply that I think are still really influencing the price. At best, I can go a hold on this one. I think, however, if it starts to trade beneath here, I think you're reducing your risk. In fact, I think if it trades beneath here, I think you can almost go minus 1/3. So let me go minus 1/3 officially there. I'll give you that low as well for people playing along at home. That low is 488, and give it some room. So I'm going to say, sort of close less than 483, say, equals minus 1/3, and then certainly beneath here, I think we've got some problems. And again, taking a shave off that 467. Let me just copy and paste that. It's the easiest way to do it. I think I've got it. There we go. And we're going to say let's go 460. Just giving it some room. Minus 1/3. So that's your path out of Pilbara should it go that way. What could make it a buy? I can't see this one becoming a buy anytime soon because of the severity of this this shadow here. It does concern me, and then these cluster of black candles. At best, it's a hold, not a buy from me on Pilbara Minerals. And then we're going to do SYA, which I can do extremely quickly. And I have to do this because it was specifically asked for today and by Jai Miles. I can't remember, but here it is for all of you. It's a pass for me. And again, it falls into the core lithium category of why would you continue to bash your head against a brick wall on this? And I totally concede that tomorrow might be the day where it starts that run. but I just can't see it here. And I tell you what, if it starts to do that sort of stuff, I'll certainly upgrade it to a buy, and I'll worry about that when that occurs. Until then, I cannot see a reason to own this. Maybe I can squeak in at a hold, but certainly beneath, say, 16, it's all over Red Rover for that. And I do know this one's quite popular at the moment. I think you've got some problems here. I think, in the past, obviously, we talked about selling some of that. I don't think it's time to get back into it. And if anything, I do think maybe it's struggling with these lower points of supply here. And I think you'd be a little bit wary of this one beneath here, and certainly beneath there. That's probably where you're looking to lighten the load and move through there. Look, happy to hold it. Don't get me wrong, happy to hold it in the meantime on Winsome Resources, but it's not exactly high up on my buy list. So there you go. That is the big lithium sector review, fundamentals and technicals. Marco asking about lithium specifically. So tick that box. Craig asking about IGO specifically. So I can tick that box. You can see, obviously, I'm heading off a bunch of those. Barry asking about Delta Lithium. Okay, let us get to your requests now. And there's a question here from Perry about the Traders Summit. Will there be one in Sydney? And look, I hope there will be. And Nick might have an update on that. Feel free to interject anything anytime you like. For people listening on the stream, you can't hear Nick. I'm very sorry. But we do have a Trader Summit coming up in Melbourne, where I'll be joined by two of my very good friends and trading buddies. One of them being Jason McIntosh from Motion Trader. You've probably seen him on Ausbiz, or maybe following him on YouTube. Very, very smart trader. And Kel Butcher, who has written a bunch of trading and investing books, and we'll be there on the 22nd of July. Not long now, actually. 11 days from now, Saturday morning, Melbourne Marriott Hotel. And yeah, three great presenters, three great topics. It's free to turn up, of course, and it's definitely, in that regard, going to be more than worth your while. You do have to register. Very, very important. I think we've budgeted for 50 people. We're going to serve a light lunch afterwards as well, and hang around and have a chat with all three of us. If you've got any of Kel's books, bring them along, get them signed. So we do need to absolutely know you're coming, and therefore you must register via the registration form there. If you're not sure what the link is, I'll put it in the I'll put it on my Twitter. It's actually pinned to my Twitter. You can't miss it. It literally is pinned to my Twitter right there. And just click on the link here, and that will take you to the registration page. The question was whether we're doing one in Sydney. I hope we're doing one in Sydney, but that will depend on the powers that be at Think Markets. And I think if we can make this one really successful, so make sure you turn up to that one, Melbournians, then we'll do a Sydney one. Let us head back to the charts. I'm going to do Kogan for Doug, and head over here, KGN. What I'll do is click update Doug as well. In the meantime, we'll get the latest update. Coming through after this will be Metals X MLX for Jackie, who's joining me on YouTube, and then REA and DHG for Kirsty, and then we might do VIT for the boring kid. Kogan, first up, I think it still looks good. Doug, if you're on it, I don't think there's any reason to do anything but hold it. You can see we've got a few plus 1/3 there. I'm even going to say if today's candle closes where it is, I can't see any reason why you couldn't add another third to it. So copy paste, and that might actually be bringing you up to a full position on this one. If I'm not around, obviously I do this every Tuesday, but if I'm not around, that's probably the level there that you want to look at. And certainly lower peaks, lower troughs into that, or black candles would take us, start to take us out of the trade. But otherwise, I'm a happy holder, really, and hopefully we are in the final stages of dealing with this point of supply, which then opens up some higher retracements through here, and it's there's plenty more it could possibly do. So happy holder there on Kogan. I'm curious, Doug. I'm sure you're curious as well. Let's head over here and have a look at it, seeing as we did call it a plus 1/3. If you're wondering why I go to some stocks on the valuation and not others, I just can't see any reason in wasting time valuing a stock that we're not considering buying. I know I did Mineral Resources, but that was a special case. Talking about special cases, I've got a request for CSL coming up today. I will do that one, even though I've banned you all from talking about it until it closes above 315, a long way away. And I want to talk about Mesoblast as well, which I've also banned you all from talking about because I've said it's not a real company, but it actually looks half decent on the chart. So remind me to do those if I forget. Okay, it's come through. So let us change this to this no growth rate. Okay, we don't have a growth rate. So what this is saying, no CAGR means I can't give you a valuation based upon this financial year's data, because you can see here net income is negative. Okay, so what I can do is move forward to next year, and then we start here and go forward, but we're going to discount all of every valuation metric. We're going to discount by the discount rate, which is hiding up here. And you can see I'm currently using a 4.5% discount rate at the moment. So it does take into account the time value of money. But what we can say is we do have 8 brokers for Kogan. They're actually quite bearish on it, which actually makes me quite bullish on it, 362, because it means there's potentially upgrades coming. As the stock rises, brokers have to upgrade their price targets so they don't look stupid. So that's probably a good thing. Think about what that means for mineral resources. Their price targets are stuck high on mineral resources because they don't want to downgrade those price targets and look stupid. They are a sell. Even better, look at this, 3 holds, 4 sells. The market hates this stock. Probably also there's a substantial short element in Kogan as well, and that can make it go up. So not necessarily red flags for me. Are they red flags for you? That's completely going to be your opinion. We were doing really well on the earnings line, and then Kaputski over here. Research as to why that's the case. Honestly, couldn't care less. But the brokers are predicting, not my numbers, the brokers are predicting from FY24, actually some pretty good growth going forward, 96% compound annual for the 3 years from FY24 to 26. I'm not sure if I'd pay 38 times for Kogan, and certainly not with a low risk rating, but let me adjust this to maybe, let me just put that in and see how that flies. 20 is probably where I top out on this. It still means that there's potentially upside in what we're seeing, because this is such a huge growth rate, and 20 isn't unreasonable for that. And then you might say, well, maybe because of Kogan's history, I might go moderate, or I might even go high. And I'm not telling you one of these methodologies is right, and that's not what fundamental analysis, in my view, is like. Because at the end of the day, all of these brokers, 8 brokers, Goldman Sachs, UBS, Credit Suisse, Bank of America, Citigroup, Macquarie Group, trust me, they are the ilk, the magnitude of just intelligence and firepower in terms of analysis doing this work. And trust me, they have a spreadsheet not unlike mine. They've got a fancy spreadsheet that has a bunch of these cells that they can change their values on based upon their view of the world and the view of the company. And it is absolutely subjective, not objective. It's absolutely subjective. So I'm not here to tell you that my view of Kogan is the right one, and therefore 693 is the exact price target should be, even though that's what the brokers do. Brokers say, $3.62 is the price target. I'm just showing you the options. With a 20 PE where it caps out, with a high risk rating, that's where it is. I can't see anything in the Kogan in my valuation to tell me not to buy Kogan, but there are potentially some red flags here for those who don't like that sort of stuff, what the brokers are saying about it. Okay, brokers are saying bad things about Kogan, but yet somebody's buying it. Somebody's buying enough of it to turn the trend, and it's had such a horrible reputation. Think about what that means. As I promised, we're going to MLX next, which is starting to warm up, isn't it, Jackie? But warm is not hot, and not hot enough, or not warm enough to get me into it right now. But I can go a hold. It's a solid hold. As long as it stays above here, I think we're fine. As long as, we keep printing this sort of price action, I think we're fine. I just don't think it's going to run away. I just think there's plenty of supply lying in wait, lurking around here, more than enough. And then up there as well, to keep a bit of a lid on this one. I can go a hold if you know the stock, if you love the stock, if you think there's a reason to hold it. Okay, the technicals aren't telling me to jump straight out, but I'm a long, long way away from a buy here. Okay. Interestingly, if you look at what I wrote about it previously, around here, I said it was about 3.5 out of 10. I don't think I'm dissimilar here at all. I think it's about a 3.5, 4 out of 10. Is that the company you want to have in your portfolio? Hey, that's not for me to decide. That's for you to decide. And then I promised I'd go to Kirsty's REA, which does look good. It's actually on my shortlist today. And to prove it to you, there's my shortlist of stocks today. If we have time, which I doubt we will, we might go through those. But that's why you follow me on Twitter, because I put out my daily shortlist, and those are the stocks which I think do meet my criteria, and I would happily add 1/3 to. But we need to wait for the close. So don't see something on there like BGL and go, oh, Carl thinks BGL's. Actually, that looks pretty amazing, doesn't it? We have to wait for the close. I would put to you, however, that right here, it looked bloody fantastic, didn't it? I mean, that is almost textbook place to buy it yesterday. I know we can't go back in time, but I just wasn't here. And I'm pretty sure I did put it in my shortlist recently. I reckon there or there I shortlisted it, or maybe it was the one in the middle. I did shortlist. So keep an eye on those shortlists, okay? I think probably takes a lot of the hard work out of your hands. How did we get to BGL? We've digressed because I was talking about REA, which has some very similar characteristics to BGL because, of course, they do the same thing, don't they? No, they don't. One is a gold miner. One is online classifieds for real estate. I do know that much. But I think REA looks really good. I really like this candle here. I love this candle here. I think this is okay. I'm not worried about that. And then I love these three. Okay. This is a bit annoying, but only annoying. And then we've bounced back really well from here, which is off there. And of course, I've got way too many arrows on screen. I don't want to delete it, so I don't want to delete that plus 1/3, which sort of indicates that we had looked at it before. I don't know, maybe there as a buy, you would have probably got out of it, to be fair. And then I'm happy buy today, so I'll just get rid of some of these arrows because they're in the way, and because I want to write plus 1/3 at the end there, which is what I'm going to do. And if it can close today, so we need a high close today, and we can't assume that. So let's go copy paste. And let's go and just cover my backside by saying, high close. Because sometimes we don't get them. I know people probably listen to the session. They go, oh, Carl likes that. They rush out and buy it. And then by the end of the day, it's got a big upper shadow. It's come all the way back down again. And I've said, wait for the close. And you go, oh, okay, well, what do I do now? Well, if you're caught in that situation, you do the analysis, don't you? You look at the candles, you look at the price action, you look at the trends. I've taught you how to do this. In theory, you shouldn't need me anymore, which means I've done my job properly. Okay, to Grey Mining, this is pure coincidence that we're flicking between precious metals companies and real estate companies. Okay, we looked at real estate. We looked at Bellevue. I went to type in domain and I got DEG. I like that chart. I think that looks really good. High close. Pure coincidence, plus 1/3 for me on De Grey Mining. Now, in this style of going from precious metals miners to real estate companies, let's go back to DHG. Now I'm in Delta Lithium. What am I doing wrong here? It's DHG. Oh, because I'm in my shortlist, aren't I? Okay, so here's the thing. If I'm in a watch list, see how I'm clicked over here? I'm in a watch list. I can only get stocks in that watch list. And I'm trying to type in DHG, and AUB Broker's going, there's no DHG in here. Okay, so I'll give you the next best thing. You must mean De Grey Mining. Okay, so there's De Grey Mining. That's plus 1/3. You can see some of the quality coming through in my shortlist. Maybe we just need a webinar where I just do my shortlist. That's not that crazy, actually. Maybe we can do those in the afternoons. Let me percolate on that one. We talked about Delta already, but I do want to head out of here and go into my master list, and now we can get DHG, and you can see why we got REA. It was on the list. DHG is not on the list. It was on the list a short time ago because I thought it looked magic here and magic here and magic here, and each of those candles are plus 1/3 for me. I'm a happy holder on this. I know it's pulled back. Maybe there was some news. Don't forget the market's been rubbish. Yeah, that's probably what's at play here. I think it's fine. As long as it holds through there, I'm okay. I'd be more concerned if it starts to trade through here and certainly through here. But until then, I'm going to go hold on this one. Okay, more happy with REA, certainly than DHG, but I think they're both a hold. Okay, let's head over to the Zoomers. You've been very, very patient today. I've done the first two there. Let's do A4N for Tanya. Now, Tanya, you're on the ball here, because if I head back to my shortlist, A4N is in the shortlist. And I think this looks like a ripper. I know I said in the past, if it closes beneath here, it's a minus 1/3. I've also said plus 1/3 there. Very easy for me today. Look, assuming a high close, you know the drill. I shouldn't have to type it on every chart. That's another plus 1/3 for me. In fact, yesterday's candle was the plus 1/3 for me. Apologies, I didn't put out a shortlist yesterday because I have to work on my presentation for the 22nd of July. I didn't have time. I like that one. Tanya, FWD is your other one, which, by the way, I'm still in the shortlist, aren't I? So it's definitely one that's come up many times in the past. The last little update has put a little shadow there, which is disappointing. I'm a little bit concerned about the lower POSs, and if you took a third off the table through here, no complaints at all. Not a definitive buy through here. So that's not a definitive get back in. But the reason why I shortlisted this morning, don't forget it was a live candle when I looked at it. This was a full white candle. And if this does close with a full white candle, I think the indication of that green zone is more than sufficient to allow me to add some risk back in, or at least pop back in the bid I got out. And you might say, Carl, that just seems so like such a waste of time to get out here and to get back in here. I mean, what is the point of that? And I say to you that I don't know the future. Trust me when I say that I don't have a clue what's going to happen next. And the reason why you still get out here, let's call this point A, and let's call this hypothetical point B. You don't know what's going to happen next. There's every chance that you got out at point A, and because of what the chart's done, you've seen it a million times on these stocks. It does this, and it becomes Sayona Mining. And that's what we're trying to prevent against. There's no harm in getting out here and then adding back risk in when you've got more confidence that that trend is about to extend itself again. I don't keep score by where I get out and where I get back in. I keep score by if I'm doing the right thing. So if this closes on the high, I actually could see so certainly a hold, but I could see a reason to add some more risk. If it doesn't close on the high, well, you're already in this process of taking some profit off the table. And the next point to do that, you could actually see the arrows I've drawn there play out. The next point, the clear point to do that would be beneath there, and that would be your minus 1/3. And the great news is win, draw or lose, you have a plan. You have a plan on what you're going to do next. And it's not subjective like all of this. It's not subjective like this. This is pure subjectivity, ladies and gentlemen. All the fundamental analysis is subjective. What I'm trying to give you here is objective. If it gets there, then do this. If it goes there, then do that. Okay, I think that's the beauty of technical analysis. It facilitates that. Perry asking for Latin resources, which we did in that big lithium sector review. I told you it would ward off a bunch of requests today. Marco with Leo Lithium. Daniel asking for SSM, which I still think looks fine. Daniel didn't quite get into the shortlist today. Smart Group did. And it was a line ball one. I still think it looks fine. I just didn't think there was enough in it in the last two candles, and certainly not the last candle to get it on my shortlist for today. But a happy holder there. It's a very mild pullback, and I think this is just going to grind higher. And until you see something really sinister in the candles, I don't think you've got too much to worry about. But probably, like a couple of the other ones we talked about today, looking good, but maybe not lighting the world on fire just in the near term. HPG, I know that's frustrating. Highpages Group, okay, well, look at this one. I'm going to zoom out here and we're going to see just how effective my long-term downtrend is at telling us when to not be in a company. And I reckon, we've talked about this in the past, at how the market really works. Demand side market through here. Why? High peaks, high troughs. The trend's up, although too early to get a long-term trend at that stage. And then we move into an equilibrium market, don't we? Clear as day. And there's two ways you can go. You can break out, because what's happened here, you've obviously got demand greater than supply. And then what happens here? What happened? Maybe it was did supply increase? Okay. Or there's two possibilities. Did demand decrease? But one of those two scenarios must have happened. Think about it. It's impossible for one of those two scenarios to not have happened. And here we are. The big brokers at Macquarie Bank and Goldman Sachs, they are making all sorts of guesses right now as to what you should do with your money. And here I'm saying definitively, you have to agree. It's black and white. Either supply increased or demand decreased. And neither of those two possibilities is a good thing. And that's why we pay attention to loss of momentum in price action, in candles, in trends. But perhaps, potentially, if we get up here, as demand increased, right, or supply decreased. And either of those scenarios, right, is going to cause the price to go up. Okay, but that's not what happened. What we ended up with was down here, and you know the drill now. Supply increased. Yes or no? I mean, is there a debate? There's no debate. Look what happened to the price. The price is telling us that supply increased or demand decreased, and neither of those, ladies and gentlemen, are a good outcome. And this is why we have these moving averages. Certainly you can do it with your eyes. You can just go, oh yeah, look, obviously, duh, that's what happened. I mean, clearly, look at the black candle. Look at all the black candles. I mean, geez Louise, look at all these black candles through here. But that's why we have these moving averages, to take out, again, some of that subjectivity, make them very objective, make the decisions very objective. Did we get through the trend zone? Yes, we did. How do I know? Just look at it. It happened. Did we come back up and test it and fail? Yes, we did. Did the trend go to amber? Yes, it did, from green. Did it eventually go to pink? Were there black candles? This is completely objective. And again, no real reason, no reason to consider Highpages until now. Is there a reason to consider it now? Well, ideally, we move to orange or amber. Let's go amber, traffic light. Ideally, we have that here. We don't have it yet, but we are seeing some good things happening. Okay, so that's good. And then look at all these white candles. White candle. It's all good. We've got some supply up here. How do you know supply's come in? It's not subjective. It's objective. Look at the black candles. That's supply. Why did we get supply at that zone? Well, no doubt. Cast your eye right back here, and this is where we had a bunch of people who were buying it, thinking that was the low. Realizing here they made a huge mistake, and now they're able to undo that mistake at roughly break even. Okay, and that's why we're seeing the supply in the market. This is too early for me. I think it looks very interesting. It's one I could buy in the future if we saw some more good stuff happening. You know, boom, boom, boom. This sort of stuff here. That the trend zone changing color, but it's still a long way away. I know I spent too much time on that. Let me keep moving. That one was for Daniel. Chris has got SLM, Solaris. How is it going? I know it's one I've tweeted about over and over again in my list. So if you did take a third on any of those tweets through here, let us see what to do with it now. Clearly, we've got supply in the system. There's supply up here. It's clear as day. Does that mean we jump out? It's maybe. Look, I think this day here is encouraging, and as long as we stay above this day's low, I think we're fine. Okay, so if you look at that, what that day's low represents, it's where the demand is. How did we stop going down? Yes, there was profit taking. How did we stop going down? Demand came in, supply dissipated, we pushed back up. Is it a convincing push back up here and here? No, it's not. And it's starting to look like that supply has shifted, right? So here's your point of supply. All right, now that's confirmed. This one is not confirmed yet, all right? Asterisk, not confirmed yet, okay? But starting to build like that. And if we get a lower high and a lower low on from one candle to the next, it will confirm this point of supply. And that's what we're waiting for. So you can see, certainly this day here, if we look at, let me get that. So this day here, see the blue line? You can see that that's got a lower high, but it's got a higher low. So that's not confirming the point of supply. And this day here is another lower high, higher low. These are two inside days. But if we get a candle that starts to do this, right, with the lower high and the lower low, let me just make it change color there for you. Then we're going to have that confirmation that this is a point of supply, and in fact that this point of supply is falling or lower, and therefore supply is building, demand is not able to keep up with it. And then, long story short, that's what I need to get to, the long story, making it short, we will go minus 1/3 through here. But until then, look, I think you can hold it, but the grip on hold is becoming increasingly tenuous. Okay, what do we want to see real quick? White candles, white candles, white candles, white candles. We'll get this thing going again. Otherwise, it does feel to me like we're losing momentum. So this is a pretty nasty signal here. If you want to sort of retroactively apply the minus 1/3 on that candle, I've got no objective. And then maybe this is your second 1/3 going through here, and your final 1/3, and you've given this every possible chance to go to the moon. Could this go to $10? Yeah, why not? And this is what this getting out in stages is all about, giving it every chance to do what it could possibly do. So let me just, I know that I didn't tell you to do it, but I just want to put it there just to give you the picture of how you could exit out of this one, okay? Let us go to VIT. I said the boring kid was going to get VIT. It's one I'd actually put in the short list not that long ago. I still think it looks okay. We've definitely hit some supply here, maybe from this zone here. Is it sinister? It's not ideal, but I don't think it's terrible. These last two candles are not giving me great confidence, but I think we're okay. I'm going to be a little bit of a broken record. Watch for something like that. Then we've got some concerns. Watch for this, certainly a close beneath there. And we're talking a close, not just a tickle. So close less than, that would be minus 1/3. Until then, look, just it's fine. I'm happy to hold it, but just understand we've got a bit of a point of supply here that we have to deal with. Otherwise, the short-term trends are fine overall. The long-term trend is turning. The price action in the candles up to this point were quite good, actually. In fact, even that candle was very, very good there. I just think we're coming under the influence of this point of supply. I can go hold based upon the parameters I've given you. Let us do DLI I've done from Barry. RUL, which has come through in a few. So Huzul, HUZL, Huzul, who follows me on Twitter, asked for this one as well. RPM Global, bit of a pop today. Wasn't looking good yesterday, was it? I know this is a bit of a favourite with your deep value investors. They love this one, don't they? I'm not a big fan of it. I think let's see where it closes today. I mean, this is what I think there was some news out today, and I think if you sort of tilted your head a certain way, it was very good news. But let's let the market tell us if it's good news or not. I mean, you can read it and go, wow, that sounds amazing. And then if you get a candle like this, it's telling you that the market looked at the news, and there was some short covering, no doubt. There was some buying, but by the end of the day, the supply was right there, sitting on this thing. And it's supply that's been in the system consistently over quite a long period of time. And ordinarily, I wouldn't spend any more time on this than saying short-term trend is flat at best, long-term trend is down. Price action in candles, not great, not terrible on the basis that we do have some accumulation through here. But then we do have, I think, overwhelming that accumulation is this move through here. And really only today's news has saved it. But I think today's candle, if we close there, is really a continuation of the selling we saw before that, and therefore would not make it a buy for me. What could make it a buy? Well, you'd need to see this close out today as an almighty giant white candle, and then I could get interested in this, and only then. Okay, but I don't, until it happens, why spend any more time looking at this one? The other one that Huzul wanted was BAS, which I think looks really interesting. I think you need to keep an eye on this one. Today's candle showing some supply coming in, but again, it is still a live candle. And maybe on the next pullback, maybe that's all we're waiting for on this one. It's just, I think you might get a little pullback based upon that candle, and then you just sort of do something like this, and it allows the short-term trend to turn a light green. It allows it to sort of catch up and support price. We can see the long-term trend is turning up. That's very, very good. And prior to that, the price action was very, very good through here. Very clean price action and a bunch of white candles. Hard to see the volume, but I think the volume is there. It's just being overwhelmed by the scale of that. In fact, actually not that much volume. And that's probably the most disappointing thing, is that we haven't seen a really nice bunch of volume coming, sort of supply, removing the supply that's got so clearly in the system. Look, I'm going to hold, but I don't think I'm buying it. We need to see what happens. Let me see the right candle in the light green zone. Where's the light green zone? There's the light green zone, and then I might get interested, but happy holder there. In the meantime, for you, Huzul. SFX is miles. I need to get these done. Similar one, isn't it? Happy holder. The price action's starting to look interesting. The candles are predominantly white again. Short-term trend is turning up. Long-term trend, we're getting above it. That's important. I think this is okay again for a hold, but I just think there's just so much work that needs to be done, and you can see that the leopard probably isn't going to change its spots. It's a very tight, sort of choppy looking chart with candles are very overlappy. But if you have it, if you know it, and you know what they're doing, and you've got an affinity with that, and you think it's great, then I can't see any reason why you can't hold it. But it won't be getting a buy from me. And I'm happy to concede that tomorrow it might be up here for all I know. But I just think I'm going to find better charts out there, not just here in Australia, but certainly in the US. There's some really, really great charts going on there. And I've only got so much capital I can deploy, and it's not going to be on this one today. But happy holder if you've got it. For you, Miles. I'm going to get to you next, Ross, because I want to, Ross and Josephine, because I want to talk about that one. It's in my shortlist today. One that is also in the shortlist, looks amazing, is Emerald Resources. This one for Curvy on the Twitter. Curvy looks great. You know the drill here. Really, I think probably any of these three candles here were plus 1/3. Maybe not that one, there's a little shadow, but certainly today, let's go high, close, plus 1/3. Just keeps going from strength to strength on this one, and I can't see any reason to sell it. If you've got, I know many of you do. I know you do, because it's probably one of my most tweeted stocks over the last 18 months, I'd say. and therefore probably many of you have it, and happy holder there, and still adding some risk. No reason for me to take profits. And a lot of talking heads out there. They'll say, "Oh, it's had a great run. It's a mining company. You know, mining companies, they're cyclical. Better take profits." Look, maybe, and maybe tomorrow, but whilst I can see what I can see, why would I get out when everybody is trying to get into this thing? Why am I trying to get out? Think about that. This is a picture of everybody trying to get the hell in. All the cash out there is trying to buy Mineral Resources, and people who have Mineral Resources don't want to sell it. Why do you want to sell it? Why would you sell it? Oh, because it's gone up a lot. No, I just think that's faulty thinking. This is the one that Ross and Josephine had, and it's CRYP, which actually starting to look good here. And I'd happily add some risk to that. It's off a low base, isn't it? Probably could have bought it much earlier. Ross probably even somewhere down here. Just hasn't come up on my scans for whatever reason, but happy plus 1/3 here. Maybe a way to get involved in the crypto industry through an ETF. Let us do a CPV very quickly. This is also for Clearvue. I promised that I would do it. Catapult, I think, is a hold. I know I've tweeted about that. I don't know what happened. It didn't go the right way, and that's going to happen as well. But I can go hold. Let's hope it pops up back off that demand zone there, the dynamic demand zone of the long-term moving average. But I wanted to go to CPV, and the reason why I can't get it is because I'm not in my main list. And I can see Clearvue. I can see why you're looking at it. It certainly ticks a lot of boxes in the stuff I like to look at, which is breaking that long-term downtrend. You can see we've gone to amber, unlike the one from earlier on. I said it needed to get there. Short-term trend is up, predominantly white candles. It is very, very sketchy though, isn't it? You can just see how hard it has been in the past. And it's a bit like that Sheffield Resources. I can certainly see a path to owning it if you know the story, if you believe that story, if you've held on for a long time. I think you can hold it. I just don't think it's going to get my money at this stage, but there are plenty of good things happening there. Look, what could cause it to get my money? It'd be a similar sort of story, something like that. A few nice candles popping in, and maybe I could have a crack at it. I'm just mindful also that you've got this. It's tough. These turnaround plays are always tough. You always look back and you're going to see a point of supply somewhere, which is probably even dealing with now around that 30-cent level. I have done all of those. I've done all the social media ones. Wonderful. Let us do some more of these. How are we going for time? Pretty close. Don't type in any new ones. I'll try to get to the bottom of the list. RUL was for King. Thanks, King. BGL I've done, Barry. I think it looks great. To Grey, I think it looks great as well, Barry. So we've done those. Just to jog your memory. Let's see some. Here's the thing. Could I buy Bellevue today? I know I told you, geez, go back in the time machine. Yesterday was the perfect day to buy it. Look, if it closes on the high, I can't see why not. It's just a long, long way from my light green zone, isn't it? And that just means that the chances for mean reversion are increased. But a close on the high, it's convincing. It's convincing. But look at this. See, I mean, even this day here, it looks amazing. But the further you get away from the light green zone, the chances of your mean reversion are growing. Okay, but this is why we dip the toe in the water, isn't it? We say, look, I'll find your comfort zone. What is your comfort zone? Okay. Now you got option A, option B, and maybe an option C. I haven't thought about it yet because I'm doing this on the fly. But option A is sell your house, right, and buy BGL. That's option A. Option B is your usual swing, whatever that might be. Option C is find your don't give a stuff amount, okay, whatever that is in dollars, and it might be $50, it might be $100, but if you lost it all tomorrow, you're not going to lose it all tomorrow. BGL's not going to go bankrupt, but whatever it is, just buy some. That I don't give a stuff amount, even if it's just to prove to yourself, not to me. I already know this is the case, but prove to yourself that if you buy something, it won't go straight down. Okay, you're not going to buy it at the top, and you might even find you end up breaking even on this because it goes up 3 more candles before we get the lower posses and we get out the break. But even just to illustrate to yourself that this is actually how the market works. This is how good investing works. Is putting a toe in the water, and if the stock continues to do well, adding risk as we go. And if it doesn't do well, taking some risk out, never being all in, never being all out, but finding that amount where you just don't care so that you can do it. Let us keep moving to In Debt. Great handle, In Debt, on YouTube. NGI, which is in my shortlist, by the way. If you don't believe me, there it is. I think it looks very interesting. I think you can buy it, actually. I think if today's candle closes at the high, I could go plus 1/3, close at the high. And that's if you wanted to wait for a close above 135, you could do it, but that might even be your second 1/3. Obviously, this is your point of supply. It's what we're dealing with now, but it does just smack of one of those turnaround plays here. Short-term trend, long-term trend turning. We've pushed above. You can see. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, I implore you. I mean, if somebody told you, look, a lot of people like to tell you the market's really hard. It's really difficult. You need a big brain to be a good investor. And you just do all this analysis. It's really hard. You've got to be so smart. You've got to be really smart. You've got to be smart like me. You have to have half an alphabet after your name. And unless you're smart like me, you can't do it yourself, right? People want you to believe that. I want you to believe that it's just so simple, right? You don't need to be a genius. You don't need, all you need to do is look at a picture and you can see how effective, right, this model is at telling you where not to be in, and how effective this model is telling you where the price is going to get beaten down again. Yet this time is different, right? This time is different. And look at this, and look at this. That's why I'm plus 1/3 for In Debt. Now, if you are in debt, maybe NGI might be able to help you. SNL is the next one. Smart Group keeps coming up because I'm in my shortlist. That's a bit of the theme today, isn't it? That I've been in my shortlist so many times. This looks great, supply network. And I'm guessing this hasn't come up. This is a monster chart. And I've never shortlisted this. It's never come in my shortlist. And I can almost tell you why straight away. Is because it's so illiquid, it's failed one of my liquidity filters, which are very light. It just needs to trade more than $200,000 a day on average for the last month. Now, $200,000 is not a lot of money, not a lot of turnover. But I'm going to suggest to you that this has not ever made my shortlist on the basis that it has failed, consistently failed through this entire trend. And you know me, you know that holy moly, like this is my chart. This is it. Like this is the best company in the history of the ASX, and I've never shortlisted it. Simply because it fails that measure. So the reason why I have that liquidity filter is if I'm going to tweet a shortlist, or I'm going to buy it myself, I want to know that I can get in and get out. And you might say, hey, Carl, 200 grand, I can get in and out on that turnover. But if we all do it, then that's a little bit tougher. That's the most amazing chart I've seen in a long time that I've never seen. Could I own it? Yeah, I could own it. There's a little bit of supply here, but no, I don't think there's any. That's a little bit of supply I'm talking about, but I don't think there's any reason why I can't go plus 130 here and finally get on board. I'd happily buy that today. Is that I know I've probably jinxed it, like the third best chart in the history of the ASX, but no, there's no reason why it should bother with us getting on board In Debt. You're on a roll In Debt, 2 out of 2. And we're going to go 3 out of 3. This is also my shortlist today. And assuming today's candle closes on a high, I can only say one thing. I have to follow my model, which says that everything else is good. So why wouldn't I add some risk on this? Why wouldn't I find that don't give a stuff amount and just throw some risk on AUB and see what happens? Because the market is getting on board. Who am I to fight the market? What makes me so clever? What makes me a genius, right? That says that I shouldn't just follow what the market's doing. And who cares? Who cares what I think anyway? It don't matter. Okay, let's go to LAU. Hey, In Debt, 3 out of 3. Well done. Lindsay Australia, I still like this one. I think this is the day here. That's obviously that's your plus 1/3 day. I can't see anything so sinister since then, not to just go plus 1/3 again. But just keep in mind, it's a little bit more speculative because we did make a pretty decent top through here. And we have therefore created a point of supply. But who's to say we can't keep going with this trend? So I'm happy to give that one a go as well. And WGX, well, you lot are awesome today, Alan. Look, I'm so glad I did the shortlist before I came on. There you go. It's in my shortlist. That's amazing. This is plus 1/3 here. quite comfortably. If it can close on the high, it looks great. I know there's a little bit of a point of supply there, and that's probably the first thing that many of you looked at. So, oh, Carl, there's a bit of a point of supply, getting close to it. Yeah, look, we're getting through that one. If we close on the high, I don't think it's a huge shock to the system. I think if we close on the high, we're in the vicinity of this to say, or close enough within the vicinity. Is that good grammar? I don't know. To say that I don't think it's a surprise. We're not going to look up to that level and go, oh, I'm so shocked that I'm there, and then throw in a big black candle. I think we can see. I think we know it's there. So happily, I'm both happy and happily going plus 1/3 on WGX. Thank you for Alan. Great setups there, Alan. And it's certainly two that we need to look at within the context of what's happening today, which I started, remember, on the ASX all that 1 hour ago, saying that, it's looking a bit dodgy, but maybe not as bad as it looks. PRU, this one's for Craig. I don't like this one, Craig. Maybe you're looking for a short. If it is a short, I can see where you're going with it. You can see we're all look at the minus 1/3 on this one. My gosh. If you're looking for a buy, then you know the drill. We're a long way away from that. But certainly, yeah, just for a short, wait for the next black candle, the next upper shadow, and maybe that's where you could have a hit on that one. HVN, this one's for Hinelli. Oh, maybe looking for a turnaround play here, Hinelli. Maybe. Look, this is it, right? It's all about this candle. Do you have a crack at it on the basis of that single candle? I think it's a very strong candle. And let's just see. Look, let's just see. Let's give it a bit more time. I know that might frustrate little people. You want the definitive answer right now, don't you? Let's just see how it goes through here. Maybe a close above that level. You could have a crack. I don't know. It could be a bit ho-hum. There's a lot of angst and a lot of history to deal with. I like that candle. I keep coming back to that candle. If you just bought on that candle, you're probably going to be okay. Hold, yeah, that's easy. It's easy to say hold on this one. Buy, you can tell the contradiction that I'm feeling on this one, or the conflict. It's contradictory technicals is causing me to have conflict on this one, but I don't think it's a sell. Okay, where would it become a sell? Well, I'd be a little bit concerned, sort of underneath here. That wouldn't be good, and then certainly under here, it's lights out for old Harvey Norman. Nicola wants to do Kogan and TPW, but we've done Kogan. So TPW is the other one I think looks really interesting. Certainly I did shortlist it, maybe even here, I reckon, but certainly here and here as plus 1/3. And I'm happy if it closes on the high today, I would happily go plus 1/3 again on that. And for some reason, some of these online retailers are looking very similar, aren't they? All trying to turn around. So I think that one's... I'm happy with that one, Nicholas. So happy to hold on to that one or add today on a high close. Sell is off the table for me. From Anonymous, next time put your name in, Anonymous. CKF looks actually very interesting. A bit like Harvey Norman, isn't it? A stock that's been beaten down for so long in that retail sector, and then all of a sudden surprises the market with an update and throws in this massive white candle. And I love my white candles. I mean, for me, I'd happily buy it at the end of that candle if you were able to get there, or the opening of that candle, either way. And I think it's still a hold. I think we've seen very little pushback from the market. So normally when a stock goes up, and certainly if it's had a tough time, you're going to get a lot of selling, a lot of short selling in the system. But I think that short selling is out of the market. You can see the volume here, which we didn't have on one of the early ones. It tells me that the short selling has been cleared out of this, and maybe there's some demand coming in. I'm a happy holder here. I'm not sure if I'm a buy. And then you've got this big point of supply as well to deal with. It is very much more like the Harvey Norman and probably a bit less like the Kogan and the TPW. But happy holder there. Look, if you wanted to plus 1/3, I'm not averse to it. Not averse to it, but just going to refrain from putting that on today. Let us go back. Any plans for a summit in Perth, says Nicola? Fortunately, probably as much as I might bang the desk, I don't think they're going to come to Perth unless we had 500 people coming in Melbourne and Sydney. Duratech, DUR from Perry, still fine. Perry, happy to continue to ride that one. Yes, there are a few little black candles in there, but I don't think anything so sinister that we need to be concerned. And I think the key to this one is just, look, it just doesn't matter what the market does it? It just continues to beat the market. That's your relative strength comparison over the last 34 periods. From Michael, I hope you got a chance to spend quality time with the kids. I did last week. We had a ball, actually. I did have to work that Wednesday because I had so much media on the Wednesday. If you're wondering why I appeared on the call, I had so much media on that Wednesday. It was easier to do the media than to contact the half a dozen different producers that you have to call and then cancel. So I took the hit. I did it. But it was a great week off. Thank you. Since you covered KGN, can you look at CTT? Ah, yes. There's getting a bit of a theme here, aren't we? CTT looks great. Is today the candle, Michael, that makes you want to sell? I don't think so. It doesn't make me want to sell just yet, but it's not a great candle. And it's not great that it's come at a point where the chart looks so good, you almost would factor in another extension of the trend that we had. You can see we took out this point of supply through here. Let's look at where the next points of supply are and try maybe find a reason for today's somewhat inexplicable price action. Look a little bit there, but probably more up to here. So see that? So I'm just going to draw from here to here. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's all it is. Look, happy holder. Watch this candle. We don't want it to get too much worse. And I don't think look, even if it does, I don't think you need to do a whole lot until we get beneath here. And beneath here, I would say, close less than is minus 1/3. But happy to stick with this one. Would I buy it today? No, obviously not for that reason. Although yesterday looked like a buy. Would have, a little bit of an upper shadow, but just on the strength of it, happily would have gone plus 1/3 yesterday. If that means anything to you. Let us finish out this session with EMN, Euro Manganese, from Robert. Not for me, Robert. Not terrible at all, okay, because we are seeing very consistent white candles coming into the system. But it's, again, it might be for you, it's just not for me, okay? And you do you know what your risk tolerance is, you know what your frustration tolerance is, you know just how much pain you want to endure on your investments. And for me, it just looks like if I get into that, it's going to be painful. I don't want my investing to be a pursuit of pain. I want it to be the pursuit of happiness, a bit like Will Smith. I love that. It is actually, I'm not kidding, it's my wife's favorite movie, and coincidentally about a man who wants to be a stockbroker. What a dream. What a dream that is. KGN from Brendan, I've done that one many times. MLX, I've done that one. DRO. Okay, nice segue from EMN to DRO. Again, pursuit of pain. I did actually put plus 1/3 back here, which you would have had to get out many times over. And you would have, that toe that you dipped in the water there, you got chopped off. Apologies, but not apologies. That's just what happened. I think it's okay. If you love it, hold it. If you believe in it, hold it. But it's not going to get my money today. There's not enough good stuff going on there right now. Neil saying sell it. Maybe that was for PRU. I don't know. Excellent session, says Kirsty. I think she needs to go. A really wasted youth from Neil. I certainly wasted my youth, Neil. I wasted my youth trading. I should have done something more productive, but it does allow me to say some of these things to you. And I'm going to say that this one looks very good. No, don't type in any more, please. I will not do any more past the MP1 at the bottom of that list. And streamers, you're done. Sorry. Boom and squeak. I'll do that one for you. I need to go to a meeting very soon, is why. This is a plus 1/3. I mean, hey, I can tell you why, but I think you already know why, don't you? I mean, that's the beauty of these sessions. Plus 1/3. Let's do nothing more for the next few, but just look at it for 10 seconds, and then we'll all decide. We'll all simultaneously, unanimously, we'll all shout at our screen and say what we'll do with it. Okay, MP1. Ooh. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to change colour. I like to put my plus 1/3s in green on these. Plus 1/3. Plus 1/3. Things aren't looking as bad as that index suggested, hey? IFM. 10 seconds. What do we think? It's one I've shortlisted many times. It's scratchy. Look, the pain level I think is going to be substantial on this, but I have to do this. Plus 1/3. And where are we? BOE. I think this one's going to break the run there. BOE. Oh, it's so frustrating. Look at that. It's close beneath here, minus 1/3. So you actually take this profit off the table here, and this is, yeah, very high up on the pain scale, isn't it? So I totally agree with what I wrote in the past on that. I think you're de-risking BOE. You're not adding risk. You're reducing your risk to BOE. You're reducing your exposure, not adding to it at this stage. Barry doing MP1. I'm done over there, and I did promise to do IPG. And I think this looks fine. See all this? They see these black candles coming through. They just concern me enough. That exit never would have happened. Look, I was going to say, if it closes on the high of the day, you could go plus 1/3, but maybe you just want to be a little bit more conservative and wait for a close above here. I'll leave that up to you. Okay, I won't write it on there because we have to wait for the close, and then I think look, a really strong close I could do plus 1/3. Okay, let me write it in just for the public record. Let's go high close plus 1/3. But there are a few issues here with those points of supply. And then I can't forget not to do this because I did promise, didn't I? Geez, I can do it very quickly. Should we do the 10-second thing? 10-second thing. In your mind, buy, hold, or sell, and maybe even apportion some percentages to that. What's your percentage of a buy? What's your percentage on a hold? What's your percentage on a sell? Now that we've all transversed 10 seconds together, I don't think buy's got very high up the percentage list, is it? And neither is hold. And there you go. And this is almost why we were never allowed to talk about this one until it broke through 315. That doesn't look great at all. That's in big trouble. And then the other one I said we're not allowed to talk about is this one. And what do you do? What do you do with Mesoblast? And remember, I said find that a number where you couldn't care less. And I don't think I have a number. I don't think I have a number that's small enough for Mesoblast. And you might say, oh, how can you do $50 on a share, Carl? Because the minimum is 500. Not if you're doing fractional shares. Nick, we do fractional shares, don't we, on our CFDs? Waiting for Nick to respond. Oh, Nick might have gone to the meeting that I'm supposed to be in. I think he's gone to the meeting. But fractional shares is the way to do it if you do it on our CFDs. And let us type this in, and this is where we'll end it. If high close, right? High close. Oh, but it'd have to be a really small number. Okay. Let us adjourn there. I have answered everybody's questions and then some, I reckon. Michael, can I do those next week? Because I'm really out of time. But thank you for joining me today, everybody. Sorry for taking you over time, but hopefully it was worth your while. There's the 22 Melbourne event. Make sure you register for that one. If you like to do the macro, Thursday's the macro. We're going to do indices, commodities, forex, crypto, the big picture stuff, and drill it down to how it relates to your portfolio. We'll look at charts of lithium and iron ore and copper and all that weird and wonderful stuff. USA edition on Friday. We're going to look at NVIDIA and Microsoft and Apple. If you're not a client of Think Markets, well, you should be, because we have the best products at the best rates, whether you're trading good old-fashioned Aussie shares or you're trading CFDs, which are commission-free, as I said, and I'm pretty sure we have the fractional shares, but I'll confirm that with you next time. Award-winning broker, we keep winning them, we keep getting nominated for them because we have the best platforms, but most importantly, the best customer service. Head to the Contact Us page, and there's a phone number there. How about that? Head to www.thinkmarkets.com/au to investigate further. If you're watching any of the streaming services, hit the thumbs up button. Very important you do that to let me know you like what I'm doing, so continue to do more of it, and it helps spread the word through the YouTube algorithm. Hit the subscribe button to stay notified of any of my future updates. Apart from that, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today. Hope you enjoyed it. I did too. All the best for your trading. Till catch up again. Bye-bye for now. Before you run away, everything we've discussed today is general advice only. It has not taken into account your personal financial circumstances or particular needs. So before acting upon any of this general advice, you should consider it very carefully and seek the help of a financial professional before implementing. The rest of the information in that disclaimer is important. You should read it. And if you need to know anything more about Think Markets or our products and services, please head to the website and download our PDS.